My name is Mario Martinez. As Dean of the School of Education at the University of Redlands, I want to welcome you to our celebration for you, our 2020 graduates. While I realize that communicating virtually presents challenges for all of us, it doesn't take away from the pride that your professors and administration feel for your accomplishment in 2020. You are a class who will truly remember this moment in time. We all remember critical events that happen in our lives and things that surround those events. Think about living in California and your experience of, for example, your first earthquake. Or maybe it was a joyful event of a family celebration like a wedding. Maybe it was your first job, or going through the agony of watching your child suffer through a broken arm. These are all critical events that hold meaning for us as we remember both the good times and the bad. We will remember collectively and individually the events of spring 2020 with the COVID crisis that caused us to close our campuses in March and go all online. We will also remember the events of the summer of 2020 when certain events around our nation elevated the ideas of equity and justice for all around not only our nation but around the globe. As we look back at this time and these moments, we will remember them with sadness, with challenge, but also hopefully with victory and growth. And the reason why we will remember them with victory and growth in mind is because we have to meet the challenge. We think of opportunity coming in a time of challenge. There is a common process that people, individuals, and organizations go through in finding opportunity through challenge. If you think about our regular lives in normal times, we operate with certain assumptions and believing that tomorrow will look like today. But then a critical event happens like COVID-19 or the death of George Floyd. And what happens is we know that the world is going to change. There will be a new normal. That new normal, though, is uncertain. How will it look? What about our assumptions in the past will no longer be true in the future? This is where your education comes in. As educated people, you have learned to learn. You have learned to fill that gap, to find the opportunity and the challenge. I know that as we think about history, as we think about the civil rights movement, for example, as we think about access to higher education, which started in truth in 1965 with the passage of the Higher Education Act and still continues to be refined today. But these events culminated through challenge. As we think about the challenges that we face last spring, onto the summer, and likely going into the months ahead, and perhaps even the spring, we can find opportunity and growth. We can find victory. I celebrate with you today your graduation, the completion of your degree, along with your programs, your professors, your department chairs, your program coordinators, because we know and we're confident that the education that you received in the School of Education at the University of Redlands has equipped you to find opportunity and challenge. We look forward to learning with you, to formulating solutions to our problems. You have been equipped in the ideas of learning, equity, justice, and opportunity for all. By simply graduating with a degree in the School of Education at the University of Redlands, you are wired to think about the service to others. We look forward to celebrating this day with you, and we know that it'll be something that you will always remember.
Class of 2020, congratulations on your graduation. For many years, it's been a tradition that I and all of my faculty colleagues and academic colleagues put on robes, and we have a graduation celebration. And so today, in your honor, I have donned the robes of an academic, and I want to celebrate with you and offer you a few thoughts about what it means to graduate at this moment in history. And so, first of all, congratulations. It's a tremendous honor to graduate. It's so because of your hard work and your dedication. And I know that you will make big contributions in the field of education and counseling as degree graduates from the University of Redlands. Secondly, I want to talk a little bit with you about hope, because I don't know about you, but for me, the last few months have been a time of ups and downs, and sometimes this feeling that hope is something that is deeply needed but lacking. And I think that the real work of life is found in pursuing hope in tough moments. And to me, hope is made up of one part persistence and one part resiliency. And when I think of persistence, I think of keeping going when things are hard. No one has to persist when accomplishing a goal is easy. And certainly you've shown that persistence by completing not only high school and then college and whatever twists and turns happen in that process, but now a graduate degree. And so you have this ability to persist. And then I also want to emphasize that the second part of that is resiliency. Resiliency is overcoming difficulty in the path, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually even. And you really have to be resilient to complete difficult tasks. And I've thought an immense amount about resiliency during this time. So as I think about hope, I think about persistence, and I think about resiliency, and I think about the need to be resilient. And I think about my own children who, during this time, I have a son who was a freshman in college, and his hopes and dreams were waylaid, right? I mean, the ideas and the plans that were going were waylaid by the COVID pandemic. And my daughter, who was a senior in college, her plans were waylaid. She had a whole bunch of plans to travel, plans to graduate, hopes of a new job, a new opportunity that would come after graduation. And instead, she ended up moving back home with mom and dad, and that wasn't really, where she wanted to be. And she had to adapt. We had a virtual graduation, much like this. In fact, that was the last time I put on robes, was to shake her hand and handed her a diploma. And so symbolically today, I'm doing the same thing. I'm shaking your hand, and I'm with you in spirit in terms of a diploma. So let's be resilient. Let's be resilient together. Let's have hope together. Let's choose to have hope. At this moment, we are in the business as a society of acknowledging tough things. We're acknowledging first the fact that together as a community, we have to fight a pandemic. And this isn't something we do alone, right? It's something we do together. It's something we do as an act of community, as opposed to an act of individuality. As individuals, we each make choices every day, but as a community, we have an opportunity to stop the spread of a disease. As educators, we help people to prepare them to live in community. And what we do each day matters so much. Similarly, we're at the moment in society, we are considering and acknowledging systemic racism. We're thinking about how Black lives matter. And we're finding ways to dismantle racism and the systems that have continued racism in our country. And while we can do that individually, we also must collectively do that. And so it's not enough to think individualistically. We have to think collectively about how we might change things. And so we are challenged to think and act outside of ourselves, to consider the common good, to consider other people, not simply our interests or our individual good, to consider how what we do matters for others and how we collectively act matters as a community. And I'm struck by this, by a text that I got actually from my son, right? Not too long ago, who's adapting to changes, but he sent me a text sort of out of the blue a few weeks ago, and he asked me, is the world too broken to fix? He's been following the news. He cares deeply about not only what happens to us in terms of the pandemic, but he's deeply concerned about what it means to be living in a society that has been built in large extent on racism and systemic oppression. And he has a hopelessness that it's too broken to fix it. And so I quickly responded to him, and I responded to him in one of my favorite quotes by Martin Luther King, and that is that the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But then I added a caveat. That justice just doesn't simply come. It takes our intentional efforts, our protests, our activism, our most importantly is our daily acts. Will we be kind to each other? Will we do things that dismantle systems that have been so painful for so many? Will we choose to wear a mask even though it's uncomfortable because we believe that together we will be better than if we did something alone? I'm passionate about it. It makes me upset because I think that we must do things together. We must think outside of ourselves. We must think about not just our individual interests, but the common good. And then I think about, well, how does an individual make a difference in this? What do you say to your son, your family member, your friend? I think we say that daily acts aren't easy. That we need to take small daily acts that are mundane and do them intentionally to break down systems, to challenge existing dialogues, to have new conversation, to challenge oppressive actions that we could just let pass because we're just too busy. And so I ask, do we take small daily actions of hope to stop a pandemic? Or are we too concerned with appearances or whatever's happening in our lives? These acts aren't easy. And ultimately, small acts don't make a heroic difference because big problems aren't solved just overnight. They take everyone doing their small part. But to me, hope, resiliency, persistence is about the small acts of daily living. It's about being kind. It's about going to work and trying to make a difference and being conscious of hidden bias. It's about trying to do good things on a daily basis because while it may not change the system, it will matter for that one person. It will matter for that individual that we impact on that day. And if enough people take enough important steps, the world becomes the place we want to live in. And so as I think about graduation this year, I think about where we are. And I think about hope and how we pursue hope together by doing small, meaningful, important things that serve the common interest, that serve the common good, that make the world the kind of place that each of us hope we can have. Congratulations. May you have a great celebration, even if it's in a different format, and may your next steps be full, meaningful, and hopeful.
On Easter evening, a month into California's stay-at-home order, I was feeling a little downhearted because I realized it was the first time I could not spend the holiday with my entire family. However, my 4-year-old brother's excitement to play a Greedy Granny board game he received in his Easter basket was so infectious that my sadness lifted a little, and I wanted to play the game right away. I tapped him on the shoulder and I said in a playful tone, "Can you please hurry up?" He immediately stopped, gave me the serious look and said, "Denise, you have to be patient." Caught off guard, I asked him, "What does being patient mean?" His response, "It means you have to wait." Stunned, I thought to myself, if a 4-year-old can practice patience, then so can I. My fellow University of Redlands graduates, families, friends, and faculty, if the universe has taught us just one thing these past couple of months, it has taught us the importance of practicing patience. It has given us the capacity to accept, or at the very least, tolerate delays, trouble, and suffering, all without getting angry or upset. Although COVID-19 has interrupted plans, prevented us from spending glorious life events with our friends and families, and tested our patience, it has not stopped us from learning from life's experiences and growing even stronger. Thankfully, it has taught me to slow down and look at the world around me. I have noticed that some of us have reintroduced ourselves to one's favorite hobbies. Others have taken up household projects that we have been putting off for years. Many of us have become more effective in using modern technologies, and countless of us have reached out to that one friend or family member we haven't spoken to in ages. In the book Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom, we are told to be compassionate and take responsibility for each other. Truly and clearly, this pandemic has taught us these lessons too. Together, we will get through this pandemic and these hard times. During these trying times, we have also been taught to be resilient. My favorite athlete, Kobe Bryant, once said, "Those times when you get up early and work hard, those times when you stay up late and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired, you don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway. That is actually the dream. That's the dream. It's not the destination, it's the journey." And if you guys can understand that, then what you will see happen is you won't accomplish your dreams. Your dreams won't come true. Something greater will. I have attended 4 universities and had a career in athletic training. After 9 years, I made the decision to become a teacher. Recounting life's journey, I realized that I have come full circle in attempting to reach my destination. Looking back upon my undergraduate journey at San Diego State University, I remember having my mindset that I would never return to the Inland Empire. However, my community needs leaders like me, leaders that understand the struggles that students, families, and individuals face, such as crime, drugs, and gangs. I believe that my community needs leaders that can understand and get past these challenging circumstances. I believe such a leader can be me and can be you. I want the students, families, or individuals we all work with to know that we believe in them. I want to make sure that they know they have a chance to one day become successful, regardless of the crime, drugs, and gangs they may be surrounded by. At the launch of my career as a teacher, I met a student who admitted that high school graduation was not in her vision. A few days later, as I began to strategize a plan to get the student to graduate, she came into my classroom. She told me, "Ms. Lopez, I listened to your story about how you were a first-generation student that went to college. I want to do the same thing for my family. Students like her are my why. They are my why I am back in my hometown, why I decided to become a teacher. There is nothing better than the feeling that someone trusts and relies on you." Aside from teaching, I have also been given the opportunity to be a coach as well. Coaching has allowed me to continue to bond with my students. Through coaching, I'm also able to bond with my family, as my brother and my dad coach at the rival school across town. Fast forward to today, I am here speaking to the families, friends, faculty, and fellow graduates from the Department of Teaching and Learning, the Department of Leadership and Higher Education, and the Department of Counseling and Human Services. I want to take the time to acknowledge my amazing parents, my inspiring little brothers, my loving family, my friends that have become family, my supportive colleagues, my motivating professors, and everyone taking the time to watch. You have all been part of my journey and have had a huge impact on my life. I would not be here if it weren't for this journey, if it wasn't for all of you. Today, it is not just about me accomplishing my dreams of becoming a special education teacher. It is about something greater that has come from it. This means going into work every day and making a difference, demonstrating to those in my care that their dreams and their goals are within reach. It's about teaching the Mamba mentality, which is focusing on the process and trusting the hard work when it matters most. Thank you all for being part of my journey, and I hope that you all continue to pursue yours as well. Congratulations, class of 2020.
Class of 2020. I am Hideko Serra, the Associate Dean of School of Education, the University of Redlands. First and foremost, congratulations to every single one of you for having done an amazing job in accomplishing your educational dreams. But to do so during these unprecedented times really speaks to the volume of who you are as people and what you are indeed made out of. I also want to give my deepest respect to your loved ones, your parents, your partners, your children, your communities, everybody coming together to give you the push that you needed, and also making sacrifices so that you could pursue your dream. I really think, in my humble opinion, that this celebration is as much theirs as yours. I also want you to know, class of 2020, that this celebration came true and became possible because it was your faculty who wanted you to have this. Especially Dr. Alvarado, Dr. Howard, and Dr. Hamilton. They worked tirelessly to put together a format so that we could come together to properly honor you. I also want to acknowledge people who worked tirelessly behind the scenes. So your academic advisors in the Office of Student Success, they have given you information, tools, and tips so that you could get to where you are. I really think this celebration is a culmination of everyone coming together to celebrate what an amazing job that you have done. So to honor that, I wanted to share 3 quotes that I thought actually were the reflection of who you are and then also where you're heading. So the first one is this: watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. As you embark on your new chapter as school counselors, clinical mental health counselors, school teachers, educational leaders, administrators, you will be people that the next generation will be looking up to. So I ask you to please take your lifelong learning seriously and honor your profession, as your character will be absolutely something that will be aspiring and inspiring to people who will come after you. The second quote is from Alfred Adler, who was an Austrian psychologist and whose training and practices very much gave me the foundation as a psychologist. And it's a very short one, but I thought very profound. It takes more courage to be imperfect. It takes more courage to be imperfect. What does that mean? I really think that through imperfections, we actually see each other's humanities, and seeking imperfections and making sure that we don't shy away from that. And in fact, having courage to be imperfect is indeed what is necessary in this world, especially today. The last one that I will give you is a quote that was shared by my dear friend, a dear mentor. And it goes something like this: do as much good for as many as possible for as long as possible. And this was a quote, I believe, his father, who was a pastor, gave to him. And so I say this to you one more time: do as much good for as many as possible for as long as possible, as you are indeed the change agents that this society needs, probably more than ever before. And congratulations to everything you have accomplished. And it is now time for you to make the difference out there in the real world, impacting so many people whose lives will be forever changed because of your good work. Congratulations.